Okay, Friday Eve, Thursday evening edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. Welcome back, everyone. As promised, a much different day out there today. Cooler, we've had some rain, but no severe weather here locally. But right off the top in this video, I should say, we'll talk a little bit about severe weather and do some recapping of where we stand so far this season in terms of the tornado count, because that's been a big story in Ohio in particular. 68 tornadoes in Texas, 63 in Iowa, and 56 in Kansas. But then, after Nebraska's 55, we find Ohio at 54 tornadoes so far this season. Only 2 in the state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania had none until this week when we had a couple the other night with our little outbreak across the area. And, this is, of course, well above the average, and for an entire year, Ohio averages about 19 or 20 or so tornadoes. So we're double that, and it's only May the 9th. We've got a long ways to go here in 2024. So pretty remarkable stuff. But no severe weather out there today, but it's been a cool, rainy day with our highest rainfall totals so far today, mostly around and north of Route 224. Some local rain gauges pushing 3/4 of an inch, including the one up on the roof here at WFMJ in downtown Youngstown. Once you're down into Columbiana County, amounts have generally been under a half an inch thus far. There's one gauge out here in Portage County reading close to an inch. But yeah, it's been pretty common to see a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch over the last 24 hours across parts of our central and northern viewing area. And rain continues this evening as of 7:10 p.m. A few claps of thunder and bolts of lightning here and there in parts of the region today, but most of it's been well to our west and well to our south as expected. We've had a couple of gusty thunderstorms down here around and south of Interstate 70, even briefly a tornado warning earlier in West Virginia, just south of Interstate 70, just south of the Wheeling area earlier on this evening. For the most part, though, the severe weather risk has pushed well to our south of where this boundary is. There's kind of a front draped across a good chunk of the mid-Atlantic states and the Ohio Valley. It's like this. The air is drier to the north and more moisture-laden to the south. But actually, the focus for severe weather so far this afternoon into this evening has been mostly down in some far south latitudes, Texas, where there's been some big hail-producing storms, and also out into parts of Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. And we've had some severe weather in parts of the Carolinas and into Georgia today as well. Hourly rain chances for your Friday. It's not going to be as wet of a day on Friday. Just about every sporting event locally, baseball, softball, that sort of thing, got canceled today. We'll have a drier day Friday, but I can't guarantee a totally dry day. In fact, the day for early risers probably starts a little damp with a little light rain or some drizzle, especially before daybreak on Friday. A lot of the daylight hours, though, will be uneventful. Maybe there's a pop-up renegade passing shower in the afternoon, but it's not going to rain as much on Friday as it did today. All right, of interest, the sun very, very active, and it has been really belching a lot over the last 24 hours, and so a pretty rare geomagnetic storm watch has been issued. And, this is going to probably peak tomorrow night, and that could be favorable for us. Now, I always caution when we're talking about seeing the northern lights or the aurora borealis, you got to keep your expectations in check. Are you going to see a scene like this? No, probably not. Very rarely do scenes like that occur in areas as far south as Ohio and Pennsylvania. That's much more common, of course, up towards the northern Great Lakes into Canada. When the northern lights are sometimes a little bit visible at our latitude, it's usually a little bit of dim light on the horizon. But tomorrow night, with a clearing sky, if this does produce some color, we should be able to see it. I'm pretty confident of the cloud cover for tomorrow night, and so it'll be interesting to see how this evolves. Sometimes these things don't really pan out. It looks great, and then it doesn't really pan out. It's really tricky business trying to predict when these are going to really materialize and not. But we have a chance anyway of seeing something cool tomorrow night in our northern sky. Your best chance may be going up to Lake Erie, of course. We have a clear view along the northern horizon, but we'll talk more about this tomorrow when we have a better idea as to what to expect. The auroras, how do they form? Well, it's all about the Earth having a magnetic field that protects us from so many things, including the solar wind. The solar wind would strip away our atmosphere if it were not for this magnetic field. In fact, that's what happened to Mars. Mars used to have an atmosphere, but the magnetic field stopped protecting it, and the solar wind stripped away the atmosphere. And that's why you don't have life on Mars, aside from, of course, its distance from the sun. But anyway, the solar wind sends charged protons and electrons from the sun out into outer space. These particles then follow and interact with the magnetic field that surrounds the Earth, And this can produce things in the sky, in the atmosphere, as those electrons collide with various molecules that make up Earth's atmosphere, and that can produce varying colors. And a lot of times it's kind of a green color, but sometimes you see reds and blues and pinks and things like that. So again, we'll talk about this more tomorrow when we have a better handle as to on whether this will actually produce something really, really cool. In the meantime, our weather on Friday, again, not as bad as today, but with this trough of low pressure nearby, the atmosphere is still going to be a little bit unsettled, especially if we get kind of what I call self-destruct sunshine, where the sun comes out, but there's a lot of cold air aloft, and so that sun makes the atmosphere unstable. You have warmer air in the lower levels and really cold air aloft. That makes it really easy for clouds and showers to bubble up. If we get appreciable amounts of self-destruct sunshine, I wouldn't be surprised if we had some random showers that try to crop up as we get into the afternoon on our Friday. Then the sky clears, and we'll start out dry Saturday, but we won't stay that way. I think showers will push in before the morning is through on Saturday, maybe as early as even 9 or 10 o'clock. And this band of showers will then kind of everything will become more scattered as we get into the mid to late afternoon. Could be a thunderstorm in the mix. Scattered showers into Saturday night. And Mother's Day may start with a renegade shower first thing in the morning, but the vast majority of Sunday should be just fine for those moms and grandmas out there. Temperatures will make their way into the mid-60s, so hourly rain chances breaking down like this, peaking on Saturday, mid to late morning, early afternoon, and then they stay kind of elevated into Saturday night. Sunday, again, early risers might encounter a shower, but it should turn out to be a very nice day. I've gotten some questions lately. Hey, when's the weather going to settle down? Not just from the general public, but farmers and those who are looking to get a crop into the field. It's been a pretty unsettled pattern here of late, and so it'd be nice if we strung together 5 or 6 straight dry days. Is this the kind of pattern that's going to do that? I can't rule out, some sort of stretch like that over the next month. But generally speaking, over the next month, I think we're going to kind of continue to see a pretty unsettled pattern. And this is some model data off the European long-range modeling showing the precipitation anomalies, in other words, difference from average, through the next 30 days, taking us out, in fact, all the way out to 40 days or so, through about June 18th. Take this with a grain of salt a little bit, but, we're not going to be able to say it's going to rain on June 12th or anything like that. We can't, specify weather like that, but we can pick out trends in the medium and longer range, and this model, along with a lot of other weather modeling, is suggestive of a continued kind of active pattern with disturbances ejecting out of the southwest and making the trip into the Midwest and into the Great Lakes. And what this means, I think, is a pattern that, we're not going to be in danger of slipping into a drought anytime over the next handful of weeks. Now, I do have some dry concerns for later in the summer, the second half of summer. I think it could get pretty dry before July is through and into August, but the first half of summer may be kind of like springtime in that we're going to have a hard time stringing together several dry days in a row. That's the way things look right now. So again, we'll talk more about the possible northern lights tomorrow evening on Weather for Weather Geeks. Hope to see you on Friday. In the meantime, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your Thursday night.